Let's listen.
Welcome back to the studio. Nice to have you. Yesterday, we had a bipartisan meeting with House members and senators on immigration reform, something they've been talking about for many, many years. But we brought them together in this room, and it was a tremendous meeting. Actually, it was reported as incredibly good. And my performance, some of them called it a performance. I consider it work. But got great reviews.
Whoa. Anyway, so what accounts for the president's shifting views on DACA, on his newfound interest in bipartisanship? Let's bring in the roundtable for that. Donna Edwards is a former Democratic U.S. Congresswoman from Maryland. Chris Wilson's a Republican pollster and former executive director of the Texas Republican Party. And Annie Linsky's a national political reporter for the Boston Globe. Let me start in that order. What's he up to? I mean, it seems like the whole thing yesterday was a Potemkin village. He has to show that he's Mr. I listen to all sides, which he doesn't. He acted reasonable. Everything was a show, and he even made a joke about it. This is postmodern or whatever the hell they call it. My kids use that term. He calls it a studio. He's calling his cabinet room a studio because it's all just for show. Your thoughts, Donna?
Well, he talks about his performance. I mean, I don't think that there's any real strategy here. What I do believe is that President Trump doesn't have any core beliefs. And so when you don't, you just grab at anything depending on who you're talking to. And you could see, in that meeting, he's talking to Dianne Feinstein, she's making a case, and he's nodding and he agrees.
So he's just pointing to the one in front of him. I know Paul's like that, but is that all it is? I think it's all a reaction. I think that Wolf book shook him to his core because it's true, because the people around him are fearful that they're basically babysitters. And it's scary to him that he's being seen by his own people that way. So he has to now create this whole new reality of he's reasonable and he has meetings with people and he listens.
So we're into season 2 of the presidency, I guess, is what it'll sell to. But, there's two schools of thought here. One is that he's kind of taken a Clintonian approach of triangulating, moving to the middle on immigration. I would call it more of the Jeb Bush approach to the Republican primary, which worked out real well.
But Jeb Bush believed it.
Yeah, he did. That's right. And that's probably the difference. I mean, to your point, I think the other aspect of it is he is now trying to dial that back because he recognizes very quickly that the base that elected him, both in the primary and the general election, is now rejecting this action. And it probably puts the Republican majority even more in peril if it wasn't already enough.
Yeah. I'm a complete political analyst. I don't know much about anything else except movies, but I know one thing, Annie, politics. The other day he gets a briefing out at Camp David from all the leaders of this House and the Senate, and their job is to get themselves reelected and hold the majority. Yeah. They said we're in trouble. We're losing. Remember, every day there's jumping ship. There's the new guy today, Darrell Issa, jumping ship. They're all leaving the boat. They're saying to him, we're going to lose the suburbs. Yeah. And we can hold the rural areas because they just love you out there. We're going to lose the burbs around the big cities. You're going to lose the House. That means they got the power of what do you call it? Power of subpoena?
Subpoena, right.
Once they get subpoena power, that's impeachment because the Black Caucus is already there. The left and the Democratic Party is already for impeachment, many of them. And you're finished. Yeah. So you better sharpen up and get the suburbs under control. So what did he do yesterday? He acted suburban. Right. Reasonable, tolerant, negotiating, compromising. It was like he was running in the Philly suburbs.
Well, I know. I think, you said that this is a sort of a postmodern meeting. I would say it's a post-Camp David meeting. Yeah. I mean, I think there's no question that Republican leaders, when they talked to Trump, laid out the map. I mean, the House map, the Republicans, if they lose 24 seats, they lose their majority, and they've
lost 18 guys by retirement.
That's right, and so that is terrifying. And this is something that the Republicans that I talk to, whether they are never Trumpers, whether they're libertarians, wherever they come from in the sort of Republican tent, they are all worried about losing House seats, and just the question is how many are we going to lose? So 24 is the magic number there, but then you go over to the Senate, a chamber which, if you look at the map, it should be a slam dunk for Republicans, and suddenly losing Alabama, it begins to make you wonder, gosh, could you also lose Arizona, and could there even be 2 seats up in Arizona and lose both of them or lose one of the 2 of them? Because the map has changed so much. So I think what you really saw is Trump perhaps scared by that book, certainly, but Trump scared by what he heard.
The Big Bad Wolf book.
Yeah.
Anyway, at that cabinet meeting today, President Trump added another item to his 2018 agenda. It comes in the wake of a publication of that book, Michael Wolff's Fire and Fury. Let's listen to his latest idea.
We are going to take a strong look at our country's libel laws so that when somebody says something that is false and defamatory, about someone, that person will have meaningful recourse in our courts. Our current libel laws are a sham and a disgrace and do not represent American values or American fairness. So we're going to take a strong look at that. We want fairness.
So much for the First Amendment. First, he wanted to do a stop publication of the book, and now he wants to sue the people who published it with the implication that it's dishonest, and that's how he's going to win the case in court. What?
Well, he can take
Nobody's
a strong
saying this
look.
book isn't true.
He can take a strong look, but he's not going to find anything. And I mean, the president obviously thinks that he lives someplace else, that he's not governed by a constitution.
He lives in London.
A First Amendment. I mean, he clearly doesn't understand that. And really, if I had $1 for every time as a public official somebody said something I didn't like that wasn't true, I'd be as wealthy as Donald Trump.
Nobody ever criticizes you. Anyway, the roundtable's sticking with us. And up